Start. Hello. Hello, everybody. It's once again John and Ronnie. And we're back today with one of our discussions. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Share, like, and subscribe.
Thank you. So today's topic for discussion was brought to us by the winner of our contest. And that winner is R.DAVIS. And R.DAVIS, if you would please go to our YouTube page and click on the About button and send us an email. Then I can correspond with you about how to get your gift to you. So, yay! R.DAVIS won! So, as I said, her topic is brought to you, the topic is brought to you today by the winner. And she's a fellow woman that works in the IT field. And she wanted to know what my experiences had been working in IT. And that really hit home with me because I thought, wow, I got a lot of experiences to share. It's so that her particular situation is that she finds herself being the only black woman in her department. And that's usually the case most of the time. If you find any women at all, rarely are they black, and it really is a male-dominated field. But women are on the come up. We know our stuff too, so we get in there and we can wrestle with the best of them as far as information technology is concerned. But I definitely wanted to share some of my experiences because I thought this was a very interesting topic. So my it's funny that
wait a minute before you get too deep into it, let me do this. I would practice it all day. Let's get ready to rumble. Come on, babe. Come on now, that's funny stuff. Because when you start getting into this, it's going to be all fighting. Gloves off. Where's my black glasses? We're getting into some heavy stuff now. Because I'm the one who was sitting home waiting for her to come home when she was working, and she would come home, and the first thing, she'd close the door. She'd be like, whew! She'd sit down, put her bag, have her little lunch pail on the floor, drop them on the floor. Whew! I can't wait to tell you this story.
Because it was just always a bunch of BS. But again, we're getting ahead of the topic. Right. But so basically, my background really wasn't even in IT. When I went to college, I went to the University of Pittsburgh, and I wanted to go to the University. Let's put it this way: I applied to a couple of different schools, and the reason why I applied to the University of Pittsburgh and University of Maryland, College Park, is because they offered astronomy as a major. Yes, I wanted to be an astronomer. I wanted to be an astronomer, and I wanted to work for NASA. Believe it or not. So that was my goal. So I had problems with the University of Maryland with getting financial aid. I waited too late, so I had to go to the University of Pittsburgh. So they had this thing where you could go the regular fall, and then you could go like a fall session or winter session. So I ended up going in the winter session, so I was like a semester behind. So I went there because I wanted to study astronomy. I took one psychology course, which was like a prerequisite, and I was hooked. So I went there for psychology, and that's what I ended up, doing. Well, that's what I ended up, studying there. Psychology. I don't know what, astronomy went out the window. It's still my hobby, y'all, but, that's not obviously what I was going to work in. So out of school, I find that I didn't do anything in psychology. As it turns out, everything that I was doing was just technical stuff. And I thought, wow, what's that about? It's not even something that I study. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's go back to school and let's do something in computer science. So I went back for computer networking, and that's what I got my little degree in. And from there, it was like off to the races. So I find it if anybody knows, anybody that works in the IT field, it's very much compartmentalized. So you have where, very rarely would they hire you outright. Like I was hired like right out of school, and that was great, but it was something I really didn't want to do. So you're always starting at entry level, and that's fine. So you start at entry level, but more than likely they're not bringing you in as a full-time person. They're bringing you in as either a contractor or you're temping. So I did contracting and temping the majority of my life working in IT. Very rarely was I hired outright because the field is changing so much where they're always looking for new people, or you always have to be up on your game, which is not a problem, but it's just, can I get a full-time job with benefits? Now, granted, there were some temping agencies that would allow you, if you worked a certain amount of hours, you could get benefits. Those were great, but those were far and few in between. So you're just working for your next paycheck, and they can drop you, let you go at the drop of a hat, that at will thing. So that was some of the experiences, that I had with the temping. And the issue with that is, no matter like the different positions that I would go for, no matter how much experience I had, which I had a lot of experience, I was always starting at the ground level coming in, always entry level. And I'm like, what the heck is this about? So that was very challenging, to say the least. But some of my experiences, just getting a job, let's talk about that. The interviewing process was John's laughing because he knows I've been on some pretty sick interviews. But the interviewing process to me was just crazy at times. So most of the time, you would go through something that's called a phone screening. So they call you, they ask you a whole bunch of questions, to kind of see what whether they want to, they feel that you're a good candidate to even waste their time bringing you in for an interview, basically. So they're phone screening you. So if you get past the phone screening, then you get an actual physical interview, and then, that's great. Again, you see where you're going. So most of the time, like I send my resume, the whole process, you send your resume in, they look at your resume, they call you. You go through the phone screening, perfect. I've even had a couple of people tell me on the phone screening, oh, you know what, we'll just bring you in. That's just preliminary, but you're probably going to have the job because you look great on paper, and, the phone screening is great, but we'll just bring you in to have a chat with you. Never fails. I get in for the actual physical interview, and again, I don't always make this be about race, but sometimes it really is, because I look great on paper. I sound great on the phone, and you bring me in for the physical interview, and there were some people that actually didn't even want to shake my hand. Some people don't have a poker face, so when you walk in and I say, hi, I'm such and such, nice to meet you, I've had people give me that dead face, like, I've had that look. I've had them look around like, oh, you can't be who I spoke to on the phone. And their whole demeanor changes. But when they realize, they're being kind of shady, then it's like, oh, well, come in and sit down, I get the, obligatory, oh, well, we're still interviewing. So, and I always ask, where are you in the interviewing process? Because I want to know where I stand, oh, we're still interviewing. So, well, hopefully, we'll be able to get back to you or whatever, but we're still doing that. That was always the case. We're still interviewing. I had some really bad interviews. I will never forget. I went on an interview just one time for this company. They made gemstones, or did something with gemstones. I just know that the name of the company was like, forget that lapis something, that blue stone or whatever. That was the name of the company. And again, phone screening went great. They obviously liked my resume because they called me. They called me in for an interview. I got there. And I sat for the longest time. Now, granted, if you're going through the interviewing process, there's some times where, you sit there interviewing people, back to back. I understand the process. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. The secretary or the receptionist comes and she says, oh, Mary will be with you in a few minutes. He's got some things going. I kept seeing her go back and forth. She's on the phone, she's saying stuff. And I'm just sitting there like, whatever. Typical interview. I get in there and he said, number one, this is how I knew it was going sideways. I get in there, he doesn't stand up, he doesn't greet me, he doesn't shake my hand. That's a no-no. That right then and there, I'm like, I'm about to turn around and walk out. So, you know, I stood there with my hand out, and he didn't say. He's like, have a seat. I thought, okay, first of all, you're not going to start ordering me around, but I'll have a seat. You know, I'm trying to go with this whole interviewing thing, you know, but if you're going to come off, you know, snarky about it, then we're going to have a problem. So he says, well, you know, I'm looking at your resume here. You know, what can you do for our company? Now, I've interviewed people because I've hired people before. There are certain questions I know that they have to, you know, you ask as an interviewer. But I don't even know what your company does, you know, and I'm always up on that. When I go for an interview, I make sure that I know as much about the company as possible so I can be able to talk about the company and also tell them where my skills fit in as far as them being a company. Always. That's what I do. Couldn't find any information on this company. So I'm like, so what do you tell me? What can I do for your company? What do you need done for your company? You know, I can tell you what, if you need networking, you need this done, whatever. But I think we need to discuss what your company does. That's usually what an interviewer does. Oh, let me tell you a little bit about the company. And you tell me about the company. You say, oh, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? And then you explain, you know, your skill sets and all of that. You don't just blurt out to somebody, what can you do for my company? All right, so then I knew it was a problem. So from that point on, I'm like, you know, gloves off. Whatever he says, I'm just going to go at it. And, you know.
Is it rumble time?
It's rumble time, really. Okay. So after that, so I said to him, I said, well, I'm not sure. I can't remember his name because, you know, it's crazy. I'm not sure exactly, you know, I don't really know how to answer your question because I'm not sure exactly what it is you're looking for. Well, I mean, if I ask you, you know, what can you do for a company, you should be able to tell me. And I think I started laughing like that. And I said, well, sir, I said, obviously you have, this is your way of interviewing. And you think that this is the correct way to interview, you know, a potential employee. However, I do not feel that this is the correct way to interview a potential employee. I said, since I've walked in here, you've been nothing but hostile. I said, and whether you know it or not, I'm interviewing your company as well as you're interviewing me. It will always be that way. If I don't like the way you're coming off, I don't have to stand here and take it. And I got up and I walked out. I'm like, you know what? You wasted my time and your time, but have a nice day. I always let people know, I'm not going for that. You're not going to treat me like some crumb on the ground or something. You know, you thought that I could do this job. Then when I get there, then you're going to act all stupid. And you think because I need a job... That's this man here. So you think because I need a job that bad, I'm going to go through that? So, you picked the wrong one.
So I got one quick question. Did you get that job?
No, because I walked out.
Oh, okay. Just double checking.
No. Even if he offered me the job, I wasn't going to take it. Because I'm like, who do you think you are? So those are the type of things you go through. Unfortunately, in R.DAVIS, I don't know if you ran across this experience or not, but as being, you know, a black woman in a white male dominated field, because that's really what it is, let's just say it, call it what it is, you have to be 100 times better than anybody, and you're still fighting to prove that you're good enough to do jobs. And it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous, because you, again, if you saw that, if I'm good on paper, if I'm good on paper and you feel that you've asked me the appropriate questions over the phone to get me into that interviewing process, that the face-to-face is just a preliminary. You know, it's just that, oh, how does she, you know, how does she speak? You know, how does she carry herself in the interview? Maybe ask me some things that you didn't ask on the phone. And, you know, I've had people take me around the building and show me their, you know, their setup. And I'm like, wow, I got this job. And it still falls through. So I don't know what the issues are out there, but I mean, I'd be interested if R.DAVIS, if you ran across this as well, because I just see it being out there, and I just think that it's, you know, it's totally ridiculous. Because I worked at this one company called I don't want to mention them, GHR, and they were bought out by another company, Metavante. So that happens. This company, I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with the movie Office Space. Best movie ever. I love that movie because as a techie, that movie had to have been written by someone who worked in the tech field. It's so on point. Everything is right. Everything you see in that movie, being in the technology field, is right on point. That stuff really, really goes down. Because when I worked at GHR, I first started there, I had, within the first year, I had 9 or more managers. And there's a scene in there where the guy has all these managers telling them the same thing over and over again. That was me. I experienced that. 9 managers in less than a year. So let's talk about revolving doors, because working in IT is very much a revolving door, but 9 managers is a little overkill. So with all these managers, and then when another company came in and took over, it was me and my comrade in all arms, Travis. Me and him we were like this because it was like we were seeing everybody else leave. And we were the only ones there, and I was the only one that was able to handle a legacy customer, which was PNC. So all their other companies that they were writing software for and distributing these changes and everything, PNC refused to do it. They wanted the legacy program, and they needed somebody there that knew the legacy program. Out of all the people that was there when I started working there, they were all gone. I was the only one, and then there was a software engineer that he was the only one that knew it. Me and Boris, we were like this, working to try to get this, the things keeping up with what PNC wanted within the legacy, but nobody else knew the program. So they thought, I kind of had it in, okay, we can't really get rid of her, because I really think they tried. Oh my God, how they tried. But they figure, who else is going to do this? PNC is a big customer. Are you willing to lose that big customer because you just want to fire me because you don't like me? Because that's what it came down to. I mean, at one point they told me and Travis that we're not team players, whatever that means. We're not team players. We got written up for I don't know what. To this day, I really don't know what I got written up for. But we don't, when we go into meetings with everyone, we sit there with scowl faces and like we're not interested, and when people try to help us, we got attitudes and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, are you serious? So when I actually got written up, my manager, she sat there and she told me all this stuff, and she says, so here, so you gotta sign this. I said, I'm not signing that. Well, you need to sign it because, we're being written. I said, what is on this concoction that you came up with? I said, I totally disagree with. So if I sign it, that means I agree with it. I don't agree with it. So I was like, oh my God, I was so upset. I remember going out in my car and just, I think I was out there crying because I thought, what the heck is going on? But then I got mad, because when I get mad, then it's on. So
let's get ready to rumble.
So I remember talking to Travis about it. He said, I went out to the parking lot to try to find you, but you must have went somewhere. He said, I thought you left. He said, I really thought you just walked off the job. I said, no, I went to, get some lunch or whatever to just kind of get it all out of my head. And I remember me and Travis standing outside and talking, and we was like, okay, what do we do next? So at that time they were looking for, guess what? Another manager. Now, granted, me and Travis would have been the ones that should have been up for that position. Everybody else got, promoted over us. We were still in the same little dinky department and trying to make things work. And then we would be out there, so we would be talking. Me and Travis talked a lot. They tried to say that Travis and I had something going on just because. I mean, come on. We're in the same department. We're there. Why does it have to be something romantic going on between us? But that's what they tried to say.
Who the hell is this Travis? Why did I know about him?
Shut up, John. I didn't even know you did.
Oh, okay.
So
you're off the hook if you're watching Travis.
So the thing about it is, when it came time to hire the next manager, they brought in this girl that used to be the manager of a Taco Bell. She managed a Taco Bell. She didn't have any kind of background in IT. She didn't know anything about software. She didn't know anything about migration. She didn't know anything. They brought her in and put her over me and Travis. And then she tried to pick our heads to figure out what was going on. And at that time, we got written up. So she was saying, oh, well, you know, at that time they were doing a migration with the bank called WISFIS, if anybody's familiar, is Women's and Savings Fund Society, whatever. And every day we had a meeting at 9 o'clock with WISFIS about what part of the migration was doing. This was the craziest takeover ever, and I will never forget it, because every day, same meetings, come in, nobody else knew what to do with this. I got all the paperwork together. I'm doing this, stacks this high of stuff. We get written up. I'm like, what the heck am I bothering doing this for? If you know, and oh my God, I forgot the most important part. I went to human resources and told them that I feel like you guys are railroading me. I don't know what's going on with the manager. I said, first of all, I got written up, but every review that I had before that was A+. Never anything negative on my reviews. Perfect reviews from the time I started working there, and this was like maybe 3 or 4 years later. And now I'm getting written up for stuff, and I'm like, first of all, aren't you supposed to get like, you know, they're supposed to come to you and say, oh, you're supposed to know what's happening before you actually get written up for like a bad review or something like that. But I never got that. So all of a sudden I'm going to get #1 reviews, but then you're going to write me up for something, and that's bad to the point where you're thinking about firing me, and you think I'm supposed to sign it. So I went to human resources with that. I said, why wasn't I notified ahead of time that I was doing all this stuff? If I'm being, you know, not a team player, if I'm not doing my work, why wasn't I written up before this, where you can say 3 strikes, you're out. 2 strikes, you got 1 more strike to get your stuff together. You know, you got 1 more time to get your stuff together, or we're going to write you up and then we're going to start disciplinary actions or something like that. None of that. Just write me up, and I think I'm supposed to sign it. So I told Human Resources about it, and they said to me, are you ready for this? Well, your manager, Crystal, said it, so it must be right. I said, at that point, that day I walked out. No, I did. I walked out again. Travis was looking for me. I came back and I said, Travis, I'm done. I said, because I tried to go to Human Resources and they told me that my manager wrote it up, so she must be right. I have no recourse. So our manager, the Taco Bell lady, we went in at the same time, because once we both decided we were leaving, we went at the same time and said, we're giving our notice. I think that might have been on a Friday. And she literally, I don't even know, she just literally went cold. Because she knew she couldn't handle this. Nobody knew PNC like I did. And I thought, I didn't know what I thought. Even if they had said, okay, we're not going to do anything, I was just done at that point, because I thought, you people have tried everything you can to get me out of this company, and I'm just not feeling it. And you know, Travis too. So we went in there that Friday. He took off Monday. I came in Monday. I was really good friends with one of the ladies in Human Resources, and she came to me and she said, Ronnie, she called me in her office. She said, you know, they let you go today. And I said, really? I said, I gave my notice, because I was like, I'm not going to walk out, because I've walked out on a lot of jobs. So I said, I'm not going to walk out. I'm going to give, you know, my notice. And she said, no. She said, they want you out. I said, what do they think? I'm going to sabotage something? Because I didn't. I could have, but I didn't. So I went into her office with, again, paper, no lie, stacks like this of this whole WISPIS migration or whatever takeover, and both me and Travis dumped it on her because that was the day after, dumped it on her desk, and we both walked out. He was like, see ya, out. And that was it. So I say all that to say, you know, these companies, you know, need to really think long and hard about how they treat their employees, and it really needs to be a more level playing field. You know, you shouldn't always have to come in and be starting over. You know, take me at face value, maybe, you know, Don't look at my resume and think, oh, I'm great, and then when I walk in the door, like all of a sudden I'm not great. I don't get that. You know, what part of that changed? If I'm good on paper and you bring me in for these interviews, what changed when I walk through the door? If you think that I'm the perfect person, so much so that you're basically telling me that on the phone, and then I walk in and nothing happens. So you might like to know the GHR thing. I actually ended up suing them. Travis didn't have a leg to stand on because the guy said I can't do anything with him. He says, but basically, you know, you're black and you're a woman, so we can go after him. So that's how I ended. Don't mess with me, because I really didn't feel that was necessary. I mean, I liked doing that job. I learned a lot from that job, and then you're gonna come in, these 9 managers not even knowing what's going on. The manager that wrote me up, she didn't even do anything technical. She was just a person that went out. Oh God, what did she do? She was just like a recruiter for like getting companies. She was like not even a headhunter, but she just went out and sold our software to companies. So what do you call that? Like, gosh, it's a specific name for it, but I forget what it is. But that's what she did. So she was like a recruiter. She went out and she found these companies. She didn't know anything technical about it. All she knew was that, you know, oh, I need to keep, you know, she had clients or whatever under her. Everybody had a client, you know, clients under them. And that's where she came from. So she didn't even have the technical background. There's very few people in there that really had the technical know-how, but they were always over the people who were technical. To me, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, you know, 9 people, it may have even been 10. It was just really ridiculous. So but
there is a lot of truth. I've always had blue collar type jobs. I've never really had a white collar job, but there is a lot of truth to what they say. Not all companies are like that, but there are a large number of companies, when they're promoting managers and stuff like that, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And that's where all the problems come with your employees. When you have managers that aren't really qualified to be managers, that's when just, what do they call that? Pandemonium? Is that what it is?
Could be.
Could be a little pandemonium in there. Yeah, I will say on a side note though, Ronnie was the easiest woman that I ever had in bed to convince to stay home, because she always had these nightmare days, and she'd come home and she'd be upset, and I would be laying in bed. I'm like, baby, you don't have to go to work today, do you? And then she's like, well, what would I say? I said, say you're sick, baby.
That's the thing with him. It was so easy, because at that time, don't get me wrong, there were I could count on one hand and have fingers left over the jobs that I really, really like. I had a job at Philadelphia University. I love that. I had a job at the University of Pennsylvania. I love that. You know, there were certain jobs that I really, really liked, but most of them were nightmares. And when I met John, I was in the nightmare phase of my career, and I would be asleep, and I'd have to get up, and I'd be, you know, again, another temping job. And I would, in the mornings, because I like cartoons, so I would be watching cartoons like, what was that? What was the name of that show? Adult Swim. So I would be watching that, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get up. And I could just feel like my muscles tensing and everything. And John would say something like, either the night before, he would say, you don't look, how would he say? He was like, you look sick next Tuesday, something like that. And I'd be like, hell yeah. I'm not going. If you don't like your job, I'm probably not the best person to be around. He's not, because he would say stuff like that. He's like, you look sick today. I'm like, really? Oh, I do feel kind of sick. And I'd call out like that. And this is so bad, because that's not me, but I really was at my wit's end with a lot of these jobs, unfortunately, because, you know, it's like I love what I did, but just I couldn't get in with the right company or stay with the right company for reasons they, you know, let you go, or it's temping or something like that. And, you know, you just have to you go where the jobs are, and I was always going somewhere out far from where I lived, and having to get in a car and drive for an hour to get home and stuck in traffic for some measly little job that I don't even like. It's just it was bad. So I'm not in that game anymore. So any kind of technical stuff I do now is for me and keeping our company running, networking our company. So that's just the way it is. So many horror stories, but I do have some that are nice, but the horror stories far outweigh the good jobs, unfortunately. So yeah.
Now I remember, I never worked IT, but I do remember, I'm trying to think, I went on one job, and I remember this guy said to me, he goes, do you have a shirt that's not flannel? Because he said, you will have to work in a shirt that isn't flannel. And I took that line from George Thorogood, and out the door I went.
Why do you always gotta be so silly? John loves flannel, in case you haven't noticed. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. R.DAVIS, thank you so much for that wonderful topic, because it's definitely a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And I hope that your experiences working in IT as the only black woman in your department, I hope it's been a lot better than some of the examples that I've given. I'm sure there are definitely people out there that don't have problems, but it's a hard mountain to climb working in IT, and to get any place where your skills are coveted, and they like what you do. So it's a hard road, but if you can get in there and stay in there, it's definitely a great position, or career to have. So I don't want to make it seem like, bashing IT, but that's just been my experience, and that's what she asked for. What my experience has been. So that's it, R.DAVIS. So don't forget to go on our website. Under the About is our email, and email me your information so I can send you your gift, because you definitely are the winner.
Very well said, babe.
Thank you.
Once again, you had a very nice video.
Well, I hope so. I hope you enjoyed it. That's just my rantings and ravings about my fickle jobs, but
and what
it is what it is.
And what are we doing this weekend? What do we got going on this weekend coming up?
What do we have? Barbecue?
Oh, barbecue.
Barbecue. Go ahead. Take it over.
We're doing barbecue. We're cooking. We're going to do a couple different things on barbecue, and we're going to do, and I'm not sure what actual order. We're doing the poultry, the meat, the chicken, but then we're gonna barbecue some weird shit. That's talking John. Like onions. Ronnie
That's
likes.
Not weird.
Oh no, Ronnie. People don't really barbecue vegetables.
Are you crazy?
She likes to barbecue vegetables.
All kind of vegetables.
Yeah. She got a big order of different vegetables for us to barbecue.
Why he thinks barbecue and vegetables is so crazy.
We want to put a steer on the barbecue.
Okay, he thinks he's like from Texas or something. That's not how it's done. But just stay tuned for it, because John barbecues all summer long, and he's out there. He thinks, he's Chef Boyardee. He's got his little thing. I don't know what he
was a real guy, was he?
I don't know if he was or not.
No?
I don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows. I don't know.
I would like the puffy hat, though.
He keeps saying that. I'm going to see if I can find one for him.
Yeah.
Our anniversary is coming up. Maybe I'll get you one for the anniversary. But,
don't get me a Kiss the Cook apron.
No, I don't.
That's kind of...
No, I ain't going to do it. So, yeah, stay tuned. John's going to do his barbecuing, segments this summer. And that should be hilarious, because John is a really funny cook.
Yeah. Oh, and I got some good barbecue stories, too. They're funny. You know the one that I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't say it, though.
I wish I could, but okay, I'm going to save it. I'll save it. He's got some weird barbecuing skills. So, definitely stay tuned for that. So, again... Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it.
Share, like, and subscribe.
We definitely want that. And thank you again for watching. We appreciate it so much. So,
thanks again, folks, and God bless you all.
Peace and love. Bye.